Welcome to the Positively No Gambling Podcast, a pro football show that is definitely not about betting. My name is Glenn Fraser. It is Friday, August 8th, and this is the 2025 team preview for the Cleveland Browns. Oh boy. Okay, so the format is we ask ourselves two big questions from the start of the offseason related to the Browns, recap 2024, preview 2025, look at some trends, stats, early against the spread leans, and conclude on those two big questions before giving a preliminary over-under pick for the season total. The final over-under pick will be part of the conference previews posted just before the season starts. So we're previewing all 32 teams, and the Browns qualify, so therefore they get a preview. But in terms of the two big questions, it's not worth saying anything other than is there any hope with this team, and who will end up starting at quarterback this season? Who do they see as the future, and is there a future without a serious dismantling of this team? To recap 2024, they finished fourth in the NFC North at 3-14, missed the playoffs, not even close. They were 1-6 to start and 1-8 to finish. 2-7 against playoff teams. They had a very tricky schedule and a pretty unlucky schedule. Not the worst we've seen, but pretty unlucky in terms of the opponents that they had to play. They were only 3-4 in one score games, so it's not like that tilted too far to one side. And the fact is, the only three games they won were those one score games, and they had 10 additional losses that were outside of that one score range. So there were a lot of blowouts involving Cleveland last season. And there was just after, even before the Watson injury, but definitely after there was just it was very clear that this team had a major lack of talent on offense, and on from a defensive perspective, they really regressed because this was a pretty good defense 2 seasons ago, and you didn't see any of that last season. Okay, to overview the 2025 offense, and this is a projected starting lineup and a projected depth chart because I really have no clue who is going to be the starter right now. I guess Joe Flacco. We'll see what happens with their rookies. In terms of what they lost, nothing of note. They lose Nick Chubb to Houston, but I don't think they were in any hurry to re-sign him anyway. Jameis ended up finishing up their season. They lost him to the Giants. Pass catcher Elijah Moore went to Buffalo. None of these guys really are going to move the needle, so losing them is not a major item when it comes to the Browns. Now, in terms of what they added, they added a lot. Quinshon Judkins, they drafted in the second round. He's, of course, got an asterisk next to his name. Very talented, but there's some off the field things going on right now. We'll see where he stands as the season begins. They got some of the quarterbacks that were out there in the draft. They made several decisions to draft quarterbacks, including Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, finally stopping his slide. Obviously, they passed up on him many times, but they eventually did draft Sanders. He's definitely value because there's no way he should have slid, but we're not going to bring that entire saga back up during this preview. But they did add Sanders. They added Joe Flacco, who brought them to the Super Bowl. But this is not Super Bowl, brought them to the playoffs 2 years ago. and he's 2 years older and not looking very much like a starting quarterback anymore, but he probably will have to start at least the season or maybe many games for them this year. There's no blue chips. They've got a decent guard, and David Njoku, I didn't put him as blue chip, but he's got talent. We've seen that before. The X Factor, I'm realizing this X Factor was from the previous preview of Cincinnati, so they don't have an X Factor. I can't imagine that this is going to be a very good offense. Make or break whoever starts for this team. Either is Flacco's absolute last dance in the NFL, Kenny Pickett's absolute last chance because the way he's looked in limited starting time has been awful. Uh, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are not draft picks that you would indicate would be their starters this year, maybe next year, but not this year. So if they end up starting and they don't perform, that will break. This is just, it's the Browns. Let's move on. Defense. If there is a positive thing to say about the Browns in 25, it is their defense. Because on paper, there's a lot of talent here. They lost Alvin Tomlinson to Arizona. That might matter. They lost Mike Ford to Atlanta. That probably won't matter. They added Maliek Collins to fill in Tomlinson's spot. They got Collins from San Francisco. They drafted Mason Graham with the pick that they got from Jacksonville. I love that pick. I really think Mason Graham is a no-brainer. He's going to be a starter in this league for a long time. They also added Carson Schweshinger, who is a linebacker that is projected to start. So looks like a pretty good pick there, good value pick. Beyond that, nothing that really moves the needle. They renegotiated and re-signed Myles Garrett during the offseason. That was drama for about 2 days, him threatening to leave and all that. So he's their guy. I mean, he's if there is a blue chip, he is without a doubt a blue chip edge rusher, and he has shown that he can absolutely take over games. Isaiah McGuire, Jordan Hicks, Denzel Ward, these are talented, talented dudes. And Mason Graham, like I said before, might plug himself right in and turn this D line into a truly dominant one. If there's a make or break, it's probably within the secondary. They've got some talent there, but some real red flags when it comes to the secondary. So if they continue to get burned and let up big time plays, uh, very little chance that this defense keeps them in games, but they improve. I mean, this could look a lot like the 2023 Browns, which will result in a bunch of surprise wins and surprise good covers, all that good stuff. 25 schedule. Nothing to highlight here. It's a tough one. Um, Maybe really tough if you look at the over-unders projected on these opponents. It looks really bad at home, and it just is a gauntlet to start the season at Cincinnati, home Cincinnati, at Baltimore, home Green Bay, at Detroit, home Minnesota, at Pittsburgh. I mean, that's going to be 1-5 or 0-6. No getting around that. And by that, when you start off that poorly, your season's lost. Um, 8 games against 2024 playoff teams, and bad luck for a last place team. Usually those schedules are not too bad. The extra games that you have to play by finishing last place. But this year it's against San Francisco, a much better Tennessee team, and a much better Vegas team. So some bad luck when it comes to the schedule. Some of the ATS leans and some of the other stats. Pythagorean wins not even worth talking about. The close games, they were 3-4, not great, not bad. The win decrease from 23 to 24, -8. Eight less wins in 24 versus 23. That's something that you always look to revert. And if that gets back to, even if they make up two of those 8 games or three of those 8 games, I think you're going to hit an over. Their over under is so low. So that's something that jumped out. Schedule, we talked about a bunch. Tough, tough, tough. Uh, they had a decent. Their lines are funny because they on paper they're pretty good pass protection and run protection, but then when you watch them, they're awful. Some of that had to do with the quarterback play, the fact that Joe Flacco is considered their starter right now is a little scary, given their history of pass protection. Uh, Again, nothing jumps out to indicate that this is, oh no, we got it wrong and watch out for Cleveland. I don't think that's going to happen. This seems like the league's worst team or amongst the worst teams in the league. But, but, but in the right situation, they might be a valuable dog. I only found one line where I like them as a favorite because I think it's the only game they're favored in right now, which is Week 14 against Tennessee. Tennessee is really bad at going on the road. Cleveland's not an easy place to play late in the season. Only only a point and a half favorite. That should be 3.5 right now, and might end up being 3.5 or 4.5 by the time they play this game. So there's a little bit of value there, but not really worth it. Uh, did they address the two questions? Sums up, it doesn't even matter. This probably is not hopeless, hopeless, but I don't care. It doesn't really matter who's starting quarterback. This is not going to be a good team, which is why I have to give this team an under of 5.5, which I wouldn't even play an under 5.5. You'd probably better off to just bet them as the fewest wins, which I don't think those are up yet. We're looking at another rebuild, probably another top pick. Uh, what I would say though is if they can get this defense back to anywhere near 2023 levels, they have a chance in a couple of these games. They always play well at home. They're not an easy out in any game, especially in division games, but the lack of talent is so overwhelming that I can't support an over for Cleveland. So we'll go with the under. Okay, so tomorrow is which team is tomorrow? I can't find tomorrow's. Oh, how could I forget this one? Dallas Cowboys tomorrow. So Dallas always fun to talk about, especially this season. So we'll talk Dallas tomorrow, and that's it for the podcast. Thanks.